Got a tough one here. Alright guys, so we're off to the races here in round 2 of tonight's Wednesday night Legacy event. We got 4 rounds of Swiss, no top 8 obviously, no top 4. Just 12 runners for our bi-weekly Legacy event. On the left we've got Jeremy Bales, who's playing Burn. I think it's a pretty stock list except for the fact that he has, I don't think he has Chain Lightning, so I think he's playing Shard Volleys instead. So basically a slightly budget version of Burn. And then Scotty Wright is playing a Natural Order Elves deck, which is running Death Rights. Natural Order for the combo kill with Craterhoof, Behemoth, and then all the usual suspects that you would expect out of Elves. So the bad news here is against Burn, a lot of Scotty's crucial mana creatures just get bolted, and then with the early creature pressure that Jeremy has found, a lot of times you just turn into a kind of pseudo-control deck. Kill whichever elf is most crucial and then just pound in with creatures. But the good news is, against the red deck, you don't have to worry about targeted discard or counter magic, so you're kind of free to go off at your leisure. We see a Wirewood Symbiote in Scotty's hand, which is very important in this matchup. As long as Wirewood Symbiote is in play, all of Jeremy's burn spells have to be directed at it, or they're otherwise dead cards. So he just adds an Elvish Visionary to the board, likely to just get in the way of the Goblin Guide. Jeremy lands Hellspark Elemental, is going to serve in for 5 here. Goblin Guide trigger reveals a Verdant Catacombs. I imagine we're going to jump in front of the Goblin Guide here, take 3. Or we're just going to chance it here and drop down to 11. That might be the play, actually, depending on what Scotty's hand is in. And he's definitely going with that route. So Scotty can untap here, play a 3rd elf, gives him a Heritage Druid activation. And then we're off to the races. I see a Bayou in Scotty's hand. We know he drew a Verdant Catacombs off of the Goblin Guide. We know a Wirewood Symbiote's in his hand too. I cannot make out what the other cards are. So he shuffles a Glimpse to the front, so it may be maybe attempting to combo here. Question in the chat about which of these decks are mine. This is my Elves deck, but Jeremy is piloting his own Burn deck. So Scotty trying to think here what he wants to do. It looks like he has a Crop Rotation and a Glimpse of Nature. Obviously, Glimpse is the card draw engine he needs to go off. And the Crop Rotation, if it is what I saw in his hand, will basically give him all the mana he would need, as he can trade off his forest for a Gaia's Cradle and then go from there. So we are going to lead off with the Glimpse. Does Scotty not have another elf? That might be the problem. So he casts a Wirewood Symbiote. We're going to draw off that. He draws a Green Sun Zenith. So did we just... we haven't played a land yet this turn. So we can play our Bayou. We can ship our Bayou and go get a Gaia's Cradle, which will tap for 3 here and allow him to keep comboing. The Wirewood Symbiote will let him bounce either of his creatures and draw some cards that way if he so chooses. Important for him to Crop Rotation the Bayou here, since Jeremy is playing Price of Progress. So you don't want to open yourself up to additional damage if you can avoid it. And a shout out to Joao from Portugal in the chat. He did many months ago, when I finally decided to put Elves together, he did trade me, or no, not even trade, just out of the generosity of his heart, sent me 2 Wirewood Symbiotes from overseas, and those are in fact your Wirewood Symbiotes, at least 2 of them. So thanks again for that. So we're bouncing the Heritage Druid with the Symbiote to draw another card. It is a Natural Order, so it looks like the game will be over next turn, assuming Scotty does not die this turn. So there's a Lava Spike. There's a Flamewrath for 4, and looks like a Fire Blast is going to finish it off. And there's a Fire Blast, so unless Scotty can somehow gain some life, and he can't, so the perfect combination of cards in Jeremy's hand. Shorten that game by 1 turn. And keep Scotty from untapping, landing a natural order for Crater Hoof, which would have let him win from that spot. So, Burn is one of those decks, I don't know, for those of you, I don't know how familiar everyone is with Legacy. Burn is one of those decks that a lot of people build because it is budget friendly. It's a lot of people's first decks, but it is very much a legitimate Legacy deck in the sense that there are some decks that cannot beat that deck. The addition of Wright Shaman to a lot of people's main decks has made it a little bit more beatable, but the old bug control decks before Wright didn't have a chance in all get out of beating the Burn deck. Burn deck's starting to play a lot of Sulfuric Vortex out of the sideboard now. Some even playing it in the main deck, so it is definitely has some reach. It's one of those decks that you need in your Legacy Gauntlet because people will play it, and if you go to big tournaments and don't have any buys, you're going to have to beat it and Dredge. And there are a lot of decks that don't set up favorably with it, so you need to have your sideboard in play and need to know what cards matter in the matchups. So these are guys are going to move their sideboard. I don't know if Jeremy has a sideboard. Scotty sure does. He's going to be bringing in a Scavenging Ooze, which is pretty important in this matchup, as he can effectively play 5 copies of it with Green Sun Zenith, and it will help him gain a lot of life. It also has the interesting interaction of taking out the back half of Hellspark Elemental, since you can't eat it before they unearth it while it's in the graveyard. I'm trying to remember what other cards Scotty might be bringing in for this matchup. I don't think... Oh, I think it's still in there. There's a copy of Elder Scale Worm in my Elves sideboard, because there are a lot of decks in Legacy that can't answer an Elder Scale Worm, and this deck being able to natural order into it, or Green Sun for it. So it'll be interesting to see if we see an appearance of the bulk rare standard cast-off Elder Scale Worm in this match. So Scotty going to be on the play here, down a game. See a Forest, a Dryad Arbor. Not sure what the any of the other cards are in his hand. I can't see. It looks like we have an Elvish Visionary there. Scotty deciding to send it back, and Jeremy's going to keep his 7. Elves can mulligan fairly well, especially the natural order version, since it does have some free wins. But Jeremy keeping on 7, pretty crucial to this matchup, considering that it is a resource limited deck. Every card is going to count. So Scotty starts off with a Savannah into a turn 1 Quirion Ranger, and Jeremy's just going to suspend a Rift Bolt. So Scotty in a pretty good spot there. There could a lot worse cards for him. Goblin Guide in that spot would have put on a lot more pressure. Early Vexing Devil would have been mathematically more damage. So we'll see what kind of engines Scotty's got here. I see looks like a Heritage Druid and an Elvish Visionary in his hand. The Savannah is a one-of that is only relevant for sideboard cards. Kind of unfortunate that Scotty drew it here, since you want to be searching for basic Forest if you can. Like I said, because the red deck is a Price of Progress deck. And Elves, ironically, very susceptible to Price, as it only plays 1 basic. It does have 3 duels and 2 Gaia's Cradles. Or at least this deck only has 2 Gaia's Cradles, because I only own 2 Gaia's Cradles. But Crop Rotation has its pluses as well. So Scotty's just going to cycle his Visionary. He draws a Nettle Sentinel. And Scotty going to go ahead and get in there with the Quirion Ranger Beatdown. Although I should say the Quirion Ranger in play does help Scotty a little bit against Price of Progress, since he can bounce Forest at instant speed. There's a Hellspark Elemental, so Scotty's just going to take 3 down to 13 here. But again, this is a pretty good spot for Scotty to be in. He's going to untap for his 3rd turn and still have 13 life. And even, I think, with the nuts here, 9, 30... No, Jeremy can, in fact, kill him if he has the nuts. If he has 3 bolts, a mountain, and a fire blast. That's exactly 13, but very unlikely in this spot. So I'm afraid Scotty doesn't have really any combo engine here. I think he's just got a lot of little dudes. So we're going to play a Heritage Druid, which is effectively infinite mana at this point. I'm going to go ahead and play a Nettle Sentinel, I think, to start getting some mana advantage, I would expect. There is the Nettle Sentinel. Scotty likely going to tap these 3 lands here, bounce a tap these 3 creatures, I should say. Then play his Wirewood Symbiote. Untap your Nettle Sentinel, bounce your Elvish Visionary, and replay it. So at least draw a card that way. The old way, the slow and grindy way. So there is 3 mana. There is a Symbiote as expected. Untap the Nettle Sentinel. Now we can activate the Symbiote to bounce the Elvish Visionary. Untap the Heritage Druid. Replay with the 2 mana floating. Draw a card. I do not see what it was. It's a natural order, so we can't win this turn, but we can win next turn. So tapping for 3 mana here. Going to bounce a land. With the Quirion Ranger. Return a forest to play to untap the Heritage Druid. Play a forest. Is he going to try and combo here? I don't think that's very good. No, it is a natural order. Please go get the... Please go get an Elder Scale Worm. This would be the greatest thing I've ever seen. So the Nettle Sentinel does untap on casting. We're going to get rid of the Elvish Visionary here. What card are we going to go get? This could possibly be the greatest day of my life. Oh, it is! Elder Scale Worm makes an appearance. I literally don't think Jeremy can beat it. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything he can do about it. And that's the beauty of cards like Green Sun Zenith and Natural Order, and that's the beauty of a format like Legacy, in which you have such a massive card pool that these random cards end up being perfect for situations like this. Question in the chat, does this version play Rurik Thar? It does not. It probably could, but just haven't gone that route. Shout out to Sophus80 in Norway, who's enjoys watching, or is happy to see some Legacy being streamed. Well, we appreciate you watching all the way from Scandinavia. I think Jeremy's trying to fight the good fight here, but I mean, he's going to have to. He's going to have to spend a lot of resources getting rid of that Elder Scale Worm. And with Scotty at 13 life, I'm not really sure what he can expect to do here. Scotty has, I know there's a Misty Rainforest in his hand. Just going to serve in with everybody here. Yep, looks like at least 2 lands in his hand here. Going to serve in with just the worm here. I don't think the clock is affected. So 2 fetch lands in Scotty's hand. No, 3 fetch lands in Scotty's hand. It's a Rainforest, a Verdant, and Windswept Heath. He'd be smart not to play any of them. Not that it really matters until the Elder Scale Worm comes down, but it's very unlikely that mana is going to be relevant. And there is no more basics to fetch. So Jeremy's going to draw here. He's going to have to kill that Elder Scale Worm with at least 3 cards before we can start doing any damage to Scotty. And he is currently dead on board to exactly 12 damage. It is actually relevant that Scotty played his last that fetch land, because he can fetch out a Dryad Arbor And that's exactly what he's doing. So I neglected to recognize that play. So that does add a little bit more business to the board here, as Jeremy will have to bolt 2 creatures now in order to survive this turn. And he draws an Elvish Visionary, a pretty good spot to be in here. So we're going to cast this pre-combat, see if we can draw maybe a Natural Order or a Green Sun Zenith to put some more, maybe just win this turn outright. So I don't think there's any reason not to attack for lethal here. So there is Volcanic Fallout, which is effectively a Pyroclasm. Can't be countered, 2 damage to each creature and each player. So Scotty can bounce something here with his Wirewood Symbiote. And he can also bounce his Dryad Arbor if he so chooses. So we're bouncing the Elvish Visionary, and we're bouncing the Dryad Arbor. We're going to lose those 4 creatures, but the Elder Scale Worm is still going to stay in place. So Jeremy's going to survive this turn. They're both going to take 2 damage. And then we're going to attack in with the Elder Scale Worm and knock Jeremy down to 3, so he's at least survived well. That Fallout coming slightly too late, but still doing some work. And then Scotty's going to play the Dryad Arbor. Let's see what Jeremy can come up with here. Well, I gotta give it to Jeremy for trying here. But I'm not sure there's an out to this Elder Scale Worm that doesn't involve emptying your entire hand and then losing 3 turns later to the Dryad Arbor. So Price of Progress will drop him down to 7. Fire Blast targeting the Elder Scale Worm, then Lightning Bolt the Elder Scale Worm. So Jeremy, I can hear him say that he played that sequence incorrectly. Should have floated the mana and then Fire Blasted, bolted, and then priced afterwards, so it would have been 1 extra damage. So the Elder Scale Worm is gone, but Jeremy is on a 2-turn clock here with the Dryad Arbor beating in. So Jeremy has done a pretty good job of at least drawing live here. We see, I think he's only got 2 cards in hand. It's unfortunate that Scotty's at 7, because it'd be much more live if he was at 6. Jeremy's going to need a Fire Blast and a Bolt here. I don't think he has. I know he has a Shard Volley in his hand, so he can at least survive this turn. I'm going to play an Elvish Visionary here. Draws another fetch land. I'm going to serve in for 2. And we're going to sack 2 mountains to double Shard Volley here. Like I said, this is where Jeremy's deck varies from the traditional burn decks, because he does not have Chain Lightnings. So the Shard Volley is in its place. So Jeremy at 2. He's done an excellent job to fight through this. Oh, I think that's a mistake. Oh, no. He has another Dryad Arbor. I forgot Scotty added a second Dryad Arbor. And that second Dryad Arbor, the card I tried to talk him out of, ends up being extremely relevant, as he's able to fetch end of turn. and attack Jeremy for exactly lethal. So guys, I know that wasn't necessarily the two most popular decks in Legacy currently being played, but that was some pretty fun Magic to watch. So hopefully you enjoyed that. There's some interesting lines there that could have been played. Scotty was only attacking with his Elder Scale Worm for a couple turns, which I think in that case you just attack all out. I don't really see the reason. It's not like Jeremy's going to be flashing in anything, but that's why you play the games. Hey, so you guys enjoy the stream? We do it every Friday for F&M. It's going to be standard. This Friday I'm not going to be here because I'm going to be out of town. That's why I'm broadcasting this one Wednesday. But definitely check us out on our various forms of social media. Everything we record goes up on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ZachSellsMagic. And thanks to the Google's insistence that you use Google+, it's also my Google Plus name, which is Zach Sells Magic. So you can go over there and check out all of our standard action, including West Virginia State tournaments, some pre-releases, and some drafts. You can follow me on Twitter at Zach Sells Magic for stream updates, just general Magic news, and just various one-liners and complaints from me throughout the week. Follow us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/ZachSellsMagic. Updated daily with the Magic content, as well as cool giveaways and stuff. And obviously, if you're watching now on Twitch, make sure to click on the follow button that's below and to the left of the video screen on the new layout. They'll send you an email notification anytime our stream goes live. So Jeremy, going to start off with the classic Mountain Boltue. It's in fact a lava spike, but it's all the same. More importantly, Jeremy going first this game. I think this is the first of the three in which Jeremy has gone first, and that's going to make a huge difference here. So Scotty loading up with or searching out basic forest, which is incredibly crucial in this matchup, and even more crucial is the Deathrite Shaman. So, hey Garrett. Now joined by Garrett Meadows, he of the late working folks this evening. Deathrite Shaman should, in this matchup, read target player discards target lightning bolt. It is the most important card in this matchup by far. Garrett, you missed something that you would have loved. You can go back and watch it in the archives. Scotty on the turn 3, game 2, resolves natural order, and then searches out an Elder Scale Worm against the burn deck. And that game goes on for another 10 turns maybe. And Jeremy not only gets rid of Elder Scale Worm, but is in within like 2 draw steps of winning the game. It's pretty. I thought it was. I would have just scooped to it, but Jeremy does no such scooping.
We got a glimpse going.
Yep, glimpse into Query Ranger into Guy's Cradle, tapping for 2. There's a Priest of Titania. The priest, yeah, the priest's pretty spicy here, because if we're not bolting the Deathrite Shaman, we're probably not bolting the priest, so you're going to be able to untap for 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Potentially 8 mana next turn.
Yeah.
You can just hard cast your Crater Hoof and go from there, or Elder Scale or anything. End of turn Price of Progress. Just going to shock Scotty, but you do what you got to do, right?
This is a sideboard game? Yeah.
Yes, it's game 3.
Weird to see if he doesn't have anything to take out for a price.
I don't know if Jeremy has a sideboard.
Oh.
So this is very interesting that Jeremy's bolting the mana producer and not the Deathrite Shaman.
Right. Well, now there's only one creature in the graveyard, right?
Yeah.
So that only represents 2 life. Whereas, like as you said, he could just be dead.
Yeah, but maybe he, and to be fair, maybe he just drew the bolt. Maybe he has like the very awkward like. He has to play Shard Volley because he's not playing Chain Lightning, Lava Spike. Maybe he just like physically can't kill it without like you can't sack 2 mountains and Fire Blast.
Right.
Deathrite Shaman. So maybe that's the case, or maybe he just drew the Lightning Bolt. But these burn decks are designed to do about 20 damage.
Right.
And that 22, 24 is a lot different. So there's a second death, right? So this discussion is irrelevant. We can use that Quirion Ranger to bounce our forest if we want to here. We're going to tap the Cradle for 3. Play the Visionary we know was in Scotty's hand. So we're floating 1 here. We can bounce that forest and replay it if we so choose. Thanks to the new rules of Magic, you can play a second Guy's Cradle. Because that's a dumb thing that exists now. That's the worst. This is like the stone worst.
Yes, that was the worst one to come up with.
Yeah, that Mox Opal's not that great either, and like edicting Liliana, then playing another Liliana and edicting it again, or plussing. Yeah. That's also feels like cheating.
So we just straight up eat a dude with the floating mana. We bounce the force, untap these.
Yeah, I like that play. You can. Why are we not attacking here? I mean, I guess we're leaving mana open in case Jeremy casts a Hellspark Elemental. You can eat that one, but like that seems like, I don't know. Like Scotty's deck does damage in big chunks sometimes, but like one damage is 1 damage, right? He was very conservative on his attacks in game 2 as well. Once he had the Elves skill down, he was only attacking with it and leaving his combo elves back.
Right.
But I think that was probably a mistake. So that's a Findhorn Elf.
Maybe my hand did not help.
Yeah.
I had 5.
Natural order for Craterhoof Behemoth, and this game is over. You don't even have to get the Elder Skill Worm in this case. Just go ahead and get the... I guess you can bolt stuff in response to the trigger, but they're all going to get +5, +5.
Even if he has 2 bolts.
Yeah.
They get...
Still going to take 10 from the Craterhoof, and then 2 more. So that's 20 exactly, so even if you had 2 bolts.
Jeremy doing what he could to try to be the control deck here.
You end up being control deck. It's actually interesting. I don't think it's a sideboard, but apparently he's main decking at least 1 copy of Volcanic Fallout, which was very good in Game 2. It didn't show up in Game 1, but in Game 2. But in my burn deck, I always play a Searing Blaze. And Searing Blaze is brutal in this matchup because you don't lose any tempo. You can bolt their guy, but then also dome them, and it shortens the clock so tremendously.
Right.
But I don't know.
Unless you don't have landfall. Unless you don't have landfall.
Turn 2, you should have landfall, because that's when you want to do it. So Scotty moves to 2-0. He's undefeated, and like I said, we've got Yin on burn. He's playing Alec on miracles, and then we've got Ricky on burn playing Rob Berthold, who I believe is playing like a black-red reanimator. He might be playing mono-red sneak attack. The mono-red sneak attack deck. The mono-red sneak attack deck is like really saucy. Like it's a deck that like actually like a Jacob Corey, friend on Twitter, he talks about that a lot in his blog. That's a real deck. Like, it's very much a real deck. Like turn 1 Blood Moon, turn 1 Sphere. All of these things are very good. There's decks that can't beat them. And then you're playing sneak attack and through the breach. Like those cards are they're good.
You're also playing
Speak of the devil.
Speak
of the devil.
You're also playing Inferno Titan.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Like I played Rob 1 week. This was months ago. I played him. It was the week I played Elves and went 0-3 and felt horrible about myself. But in round 1, I played him, and in the sideboarded game, like I had used Cabal Therapy and like stripped his hand early and like just like doing everything. I natural ordered for Gaddock Teague in that situation because like that's better against him than the other stuff because I wasn't winning that turn. And like I had him dead to anything, and he just draws off the top of his deck and activates the top to look 1 card deeper. And then flips and casts a Hardcast Inferno Titan, like wipes my board. I'm just like, of all the things to lose to, it's not all the good creatures in your deck. It's the 2 that you play that you can hardcast if you need to.
Like you can ritual Inferno Titan.
I don't think he's. I think we're talking about it a lot, and he's not playing it tonight. I think he's playing Black-Red Reanimator. Because he said he was going to play a brew, and then once everybody started like playtesting and talking about the real decks, I think he audibled to a real deck because I don't know. But I'm going to step outside and see what we've got here.
That, Aura's deck, that mono blue or whatever.
Yeah, so like he built a lot of like when we started playing Legacy, he built a lot of like the
budget decks,
the staple budget decks, like the ones where you go in like MTG Salvation and look for like the decks that like and this one's like it's the one where you use like Aura Swap to put Eldrazi Conscription on an Invisible Stalker or a Boggle.
Yes.
Yeah, and like that deck seems like really like clunky. If you're like a Force of, like you're playing a real deck, you like Force of Will, Spare Pierce and stuff, like you wreck it. But like if you're playing
the
Burn,
Death and Taxes players,
no, you're just like you have 11/11 Annihilator 2 guy,
unblockable,
hexproof. All right, GG's. All right, let's go see where this tournament sits.
Uh,